Welcome to the Level Up English podcast, the best place to come to practice the English language, learn about the British accent and culture, with me, your host, Michael Lavers. Hello, English learners, and welcome back to the Level Up English podcast. My name is Michael Lavers, and today we're going to be talking about free stuff. We all like free stuff, right? And I'm going to be talking about free learning resources today. I'm going to tell you about my free lessons a bit later, and also some paid stuff as well, and why it might be important to pay for some things. I've got an interesting idea about that I want to share. I'm going to share a little bit about free things and paying in my language learning journey. And of course, I'm going to also share some free resources that I recommend for learning English to you guys. I do my best to give you guys some free content. All of these podcasts are free, for example, so hopefully you enjoy them. And speaking of free things, I have been mentioning recently about my email list. My email community is a group of people who sign up for email lessons from me twice a month. I don't want to annoy you too much. I just send once every 2 weeks. So it's not so often, but once every 2 weeks, I send you an email with usually a lesson, a free English lesson. I will also send maybe some motivation, some tips, language learning tips, something like that, always something like that. And it's also the best place to get updates from me. So when I add new content to the website, when I'm working on a new project, the email community will be the first people to find out about it. And it's also the place to get free lessons as well. So I talk a lot about my Level Up English membership. It's the thing I'm working on every single day, right? It's £10 a month to get transcripts, a private podcast, join our weekly group classes, join the IELTS exam class, and many other classes over there, many other courses there. £10 a month is the cheapest price you'll get anywhere for that many group classes a month. And it's a good resource, I think. Hopefully it's a good resource that helps people. And I don't want it to be unavailable to those who cannot afford it. So I've also got a few free classes you could try. I mean, one purpose of them is to see if you like it. If you're thinking about joining the membership, but you're not sure, then you could try this. So sign up to the email list. You can leave anytime, of course, but at the bottom of the website, there's a button that says join here for free lessons. If you sign up, you'll get an email with 5 free lessons. And this will give you a preview of Level Up English. And you can study these lessons, enjoy them. I think one of them is also a private podcast episode, so you can see what it's like on the private podcast. And yeah, hopefully that's good. The easy way to sign up is click the link in the description of this podcast episode on your app, and there should be a button there that says free lessons. Click that one and sign up today. Some of you might know why I'm talking about this topic today, and this is because people always ask me for free lessons online. It's almost been a daily occurrence at this point, and I know other teachers will be familiar with this as well. I get private messages like, can you teach me for free? Or people asking about some products I have and it's not free? I thought it would be free. And of course I can't do this, right? As much as I would like to, I think it's important to pay for work that you value. If you value someone's work, I think they deserve to be compensated for their time, right? If you really appreciate what they do, you'd want to pay them, in my opinion. So that's one belief that I have. I wouldn't go to an artist and ask for free art because I appreciate his art, right? I want to pay him for his work and his, amazing artwork. So I see it in a similar way to that. On a more practical level, of course, if I gave everything away for free, maybe I would be very kind, but I also would be homeless as well. So I have to kind of keep that. We have to keep that in mind, right? That when you ask for stuff for free, you're robbing the person of their time in some sense, because I guess, like it or not, time is money, right? But despite all that, I do want to help people. I really want to help people, and I want to have a balance of free and paid work. This is actually why I started Level Up English in the first place, because I know many people cannot afford English classes. They're very expensive. And for example, Level Up English is £10 a month, and you get, what would that be? My maths. At the moment, it's 6 hours a month. £10 for 6 hours of classes, which I think is much, much cheaper than, any pay-as-you-go class, right? Where it might be 20 or £30 for an hour, let alone a month. But anyway, of course, I also try to make a lot of free content too. So my free content is mostly on my YouTube channel, right, where I make some videos there on Level Up English, and of course my podcast as well on the Level Up English podcast. Every week I make content for free, and I know it helps a lot of people. I see in the comments, and that really means the world to me. So thank you so much. And I do that because I know it's not affordable to everyone to buy things, right? Like, as much as it would be nice to say, everyone buy my stuff, it's just not possible. I know there's many factors outside of people's control. If you're from a certain country, you might have sanctions on your country. You might just have a really bad exchange rate where maybe, maybe £20 for a lesson is cheap in England, but it's like a week's worth of money in your country. And it's totally unfair, right? Because it's not your fault, it's not my fault. It's just the way the world is, and it's so unfair. So that's one thing that motivates me to keep making this content, because I know it's helping people who cannot afford to pay for anything, right? So if that's you, I really do appreciate you. You don't have to pay. If you're listening to this, that is enough. Thank you very much. I don't want anyone to have an excuse for not learning English, right? You can say, oh, my English isn't good enough, but you have the power to change it. Money or no money, right? That's my belief anyway. It's my hope. However, I want to talk about the benefit of paying for things. I think paying for things does have a benefit, or can have a benefit. I want to give you some examples from my own language learning journey too, and maybe my teaching as well. So the idea here is paying. Okay, I'll go take a step back. You might have heard the phrase before that the best textbook is the one that you use. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what textbook you buy necessarily. There isn't such a thing as the best textbook. The best one is the one you use. If you use it, you enjoy it, that's the best one for you, right? Don't worry about which is the best by ratings or other people's opinions too much. The best one is the one you will use. But how can you make sure you will use a textbook? Have you ever had it where, you've been given a PDF textbook online, you signed up to a free course online, and then you've given up shortly after? That happens to me all the time. I'm sure it's happened recently, but the one that came to my mind was from probably like 10 years ago, quite a while ago. And I joined, I think it's called Code Academy, where I was learning how to code online. I really enjoyed it, but at some point I gave up. And I think one reason is just because it was free. I didn't have any financial incentive, financial reason to stay and study. I wanted to learn, but I thought, why am I wasting my time here? I could be doing something else instead, like going out, seeing my friends. So I gave up on that. I gave up. One example on the contrary, the opposite way, is a couple years ago I took my CELTA course. This is the Cambridge Teaching course. It trains teachers to teach English to learners, well, like you guys, who are learning as a second language. And I think it depends on your country, but I think it's very expensive. I have never spent that much money on a course before. I've never spent that much money on a digital thing before. Never. And it was quite a big decision for me to make, but I kind of had the view like, okay, I'm investing in my career, I'm investing in my skills, and I think you cannot put a price on knowledge. If you invest in yourself, it's worth more than a lot of money, in my opinion. That was my idea anyway. And it took a few months to complete. And honestly, it was very tough. I don't think it was necessarily difficult. Like most of it wasn't difficult. It was tough in the sense that it was time consuming and that I hated it. I hate having to wake up and do some coursework or some exam work. I want to do what I want. I want to teach my lessons. I want to meet you guys. And I don't want to have to study for some course. No, it's just my personality. I really hate studying for that kind of stuff. But I didn't quit because, I mean, to be fair, I almost quit. I was so stressed at one point. I wanted to quit. But I didn't because I knew how much money I spent on it, and I knew I would have felt so horrible if I quit. So I persevered and I made it to the end and I passed. And it was a big accomplishment. Again, not because it was difficult, just because I didn't quit. Another example from more recently is my Chinese course. So I have recently joined, I think it's called ChinesePod.com. And I've tried them before in the past. I think I tried it for Cantonese or something, but now I'm trying it for Mandarin Chinese, and it's quite expensive. I'm happy to tell you, I'm paying £25 a month, which I think is, in my opinion, is quite a lot for a language learning program software. But in some sense, I kind of like that it's that much because I know I don't want to waste my money. If I spent 1 month and I haven't studied, then that's £25 wasted, which is like, a meal in a restaurant or a very, very cheap hotel for one night, I don't want to waste that money. Knowing that I'm spending that much every month is encouraging me to study as much as I can. And I haven't studied every day, to be fair. I've been busy, but I have studied quite a lot, and it's been quite motivating knowing that I have invested money in it. So essentially, paying for things makes it less likely that you will give up. That's the idea. Doesn't mean you have to pay, but it's a good motivator. Let me know your thoughts and experiences in the comments too. I would like to hear. Okay, I'm sure if you're still listening, you haven't given up at this point. I'm sure you are waiting for me to talk about my top 3 resources that I recommend. And I always give a disclaimer before my lists. I don't know why. I guess I'm just nervous that people will complain. But okay, here's today's weekly disclaimer. And that is, I'm not an English learner, right? I'm a teacher, but I'm not a learner. So I might have a different perspective to an actual English learner. I would also recommend finding a learner you like. Maybe someone learning English online. Maybe they've got like a Instagram page or something that they're quite vocal about it. And they might have different recommendations than me. They might have quite interesting ones. But this is just from my perspective as a teacher and what I think helps my learners to improve. So of course I've already mentioned my own podcast. You know that, you're listening. I've mentioned my YouTube channel. You can search Level Up English on YouTube, or maybe English with Michael, and you'll find it. Another kind of follow-up tip I have from that is many of the guests I've had on the podcast in the past, many of them have had their own podcasts. A lot of them are fantastic. I really recommend you go back and listen. That's a great starting point. So go back and find out the guests from my previous episodes each month. And if there's any of the guests you like what they had to say, you like their accent, then find out if they have a podcast, find out if they have some YouTube channel or Instagram page, and follow them wherever they are. And that's a good place to find free content, right here at Level Up English. Another kind of more broader tip is to keep in mind that it doesn't have to be made for English learners. I think people forget this, especially when you get more advanced. It doesn't have to be an English learning resource. It can be anything in English, right? So think about magazines, think about blog posts. I read a lot of travel blogs in Japanese. I think that's my interest, right? So find what you're interested in. Find a blog online that you like to read. You could join a subreddit, which is an online forum. Join a subreddit of what you're interested in. Go to reddit.com and find something you're interested in. One of my personal favorites is, of course, YouTube. YouTube videos. So that could be, of course, anything related to your interests. I love watching interviews where I watch people interview each other, interview people on the street. It's a great way to get natural listening practice. And I know there are many for English too. And I've got a few on my channel as well, but there's many around YouTube too. Games, I often like to watch video games on YouTube. I'll just watch someone in Japan live streaming a game and listen to what they're saying about it. That can be quite fun. Documentaries is another good one if you like nature, because I think in documentaries they often talk quite slowly and clearly. They're not trying to talk quickly, right? A few specific examples now. One is, well, let's say for speaking to start with, the two that I have used most is one, HelloTalk. HelloTalk is an app that I have found really useful in the past for meeting people, chatting with people, sending voice messages, even meeting people in real life if you like that, calling people, right? It's a great way to meet friends on your phone. HelloTalk, one word, search for it. It's a very good way. Another one that I have used is mylanguageexchange.com. I personally have found that's better for finding more serious learners, where HelloTalk is often more casual chatting, some dating as well. I've met people on HelloTalk that just wanted to date, which is not its intended purpose, and I think they should be more, honest about that rather than trying to hide it. But anyway, be careful about that if you are, using HelloTalk, I would say. As I mentioned before, Reddit is a great place. I follow some subreddits for hiking and travel and things like that. And a good one you might want to follow is English Learning. There's a subreddit called English Learning where people post questions and difficulties and concerns. And I think it's quite nice. You can learn from there, but also you can see other people who might have the same problems as you. It's quite motivating, I think. Another great one for listening, a bit more advanced, is TED Talks, or TED Talks. You might have heard of these. TED Talks are kind of speeches on different topics. Often they're more academic, more advanced, but very interesting. You'll hear all kinds of topics about diet and health and philosophy and technology and more stuff that I can't think of right now. Language as well, right? Any topic, there'll be a TED Talk about it. Someone talking on stage to an audience. So TED Talks are a great way to learn. And they've also got transcripts. If you go to the TED Talk website, you can also look at the transcripts for the talks as well. A lot of people don't know that. My final website tip, which I really love, I just don't use it as much as I should, but this is Youglish. So it's like English and YouTube together. Youglish.com. And it's honestly amazing because you can type in any word and hear examples of that word from YouTube videos. If you want to hear the word personality, how do we use that in a sentence? Type it in on Youglish and you'll find a video of someone saying personality. Really simple idea, but really amazing website. And they've also got other languages too, including Japanese, so that's why I like to use it occasionally. And I will put this list on my show notes, so if you missed anything I said, you can go to levelupenglish.school/podcast173 and there'll be a list of what I just spoke about in the show notes. On the private episode this week, I'm going to talk a little bit more on this topic about, I think I'm going to talk about buying things. I want to talk about some personal things that I have bought and regretted. And I want to talk about expensive things that I have bought, but I don't regret, and how you can avoid that regret. So it's just a little bit more fun, a little bit more laid back on this topic of paying and free stuff. I'm going to talk more about that this Friday on the private podcast, so hope to see you there. But let's go right now to some reviews from Apple Podcasts. By the way, I know some of you like to leave reviews on other apps as well, and I really appreciate that. It means so much to me. I mean, if you're on Spotify, for example, and you leave a thumbs up on Spotify, you don't have to leave a review. I don't even know if you can, but thumbs up, and that helps me so much. You have no idea. And other apps, it really helps me. I don't often check them, but it means so much to me if you do. So thank you. But I usually check Apple Podcasts, which is where this one is from Mada Or. Mada Or. Let's go with Mada Or, let's say. Mada says, "Thank you for your efforts and your work and your hard work. I listen to all the episodes and I enjoy a lot. The sound is clear and easy to understand. I appreciate it." Thank you very much, Mada. Appreciate that. I've got one from Elham VD, who said, "Hi Michael, very glad to hear that you're getting married." Got married, yeah. "Congratulations. I wish you happiness and a life full of love." How kind. "Your podcasts are the only source that I eagerly and avidly listen to when I'm bored or want to do something in English. I learn many fascinating and great things from your podcasts. Thank you very much for your efficient and remarkable work." Thank you so much, Elham. That's very kind of you. Thank you for your kind wishes as well. I notice that as the episodes go on, I'm slouching in my chair, which means I'm going down. Got to sit up straight, good posture now. Let's do one more quick one from Ryan from Syria. Ryan says, "I feel over the moon while drawing and listening to your podcast. Thanks a lot, Michael. Obviously, you are the best presenter I've ever listened to. Keep doing it and we appreciate your efforts and you a lot." That's so kind, Ryan. Thank you so much. I'm definitely not the best. Maybe you need to listen to more presenters. But, well, thank you. That's really kind of you. And it's kind of cool that you're drawing and you're listening at the same time. I wonder what you're drawing. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Send a picture if you can. Yeah, thank you for that. Let's finish today with a quote. So this week's quote on Instagram is, well, it's a picture from Greenwich Park, one of my favourite spots in London. It's like a beautiful bench looking towards the financial district skyline, the Isle of Dogs. And the quote is from a very hard to pronounce person, Harbhajan Singh Yogi. And this person says, "When you come upon a difficult task, start." Very simple. I think sometimes the simple ones are the most effective, right? The most effective quotes. It doesn't matter how you start, where you start, just start somewhere, right? When I was moving out of London a few weeks ago, I was thinking, where do I start? I've got to pack all my things. I've got to tidy everything, clean everything. And why don't I just start where I am? I just started right where I was standing. I didn't think about it for too long. Same with whatever you're doing. What difficult task do you have today, this week? Whatever it is, just start. Get started somewhere, right? Okay, well, thank you for listening. Until now, hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now. Thanks for listening.